Hi there. Thank you so much for joining us today from the Treasure My Home team at Keller Williams. We are having a home buyer seminar today, and we will be featuring 3 of our affiliated vendors that we do business with all the time that will be giving us lots of lessons in buying a home. First will be joining us Brad King from VanDyk Mortgage, talking about the home buying process and mortgage application process. Second will be Adam Dalton from Amerispec. He'll be telling us about things to look for during your home inspection and the process there. Then we're going to be talking to Andy Mortensen from Bonita Title. He'll go through the closing process with us. It's so fun buying a home, but there's lots of steps involved, and we're here to guide you and help you the whole way. We can't wait for you to learn about this home buying seminar, and we can't wait to take you out and find a home for you.
Well, thank you guys very much. Very happy to be here. My name is Brad King with VanDyk Mortgage. VanDyk Mortgage is a direct mortgage lender, which means that it is our own money and it's our own underwriters that actually approve the loans. The good news for you is that we have over 13 different investors that we actually can lock in with their wholesale interest rates so that we guarantee you that we're going to get you the best rate available. The most important thing in getting approved is you want to know your numbers, okay? You want to know what you can afford before you go out looking. I had a customer today call me that they were interested in a $250,000 house, who's an FHA buyer, and when I just estimated off the top of my head that his monthly payment would be approximately $2,000, that was too much for him to afford. So we automatically know that there's a couple of different numbers that you want to know. There's a number that you actually qualify for, but more importantly, there's a number that you're comfortable with. And so we want to make sure that we get the customers into a number that they're comfortable with, because moving forward after buying the home and getting it set up the way that they want it to be with the painting and the carpet and make it their own, we want to maintain the excitement about the home and having a payment that they can afford every month. So you really want to know the numbers. You want to know what the down payment is. You want to know what closing costs are. Oftentimes people come in and they don't even think about closing costs. So and I can run the closing cost figures for everybody individually whenever, if they contact me, and we can run through the numbers. As far as interest rates are concerned, right now the interest rates are at historically low levels. Historically speaking, a lot of people have gotten their first homes at 16% from what I hear from people. Nowadays, they're in the 4% range. So the high 3s to the 4%. So historically speaking, the interest rates are tremendous. There's a good amount of inventory right now that people can go out and buy homes that match whichever level of pricing that they are comfortable with. So you want to know your numbers. Also, people will sometimes find these mortgage calculators on the internet. Mortgage calculators sometimes will only give you the principal and interest payment on the loan. Don't forget that there's also taxes that they need to factor in, and then also an insurance, and then sometimes mortgage insurance, which is in case you don't put 20% down on the loan. So there's a couple of different additional factors that are factored into the monthly payment that you need to know. Also, in gated communities or condos, you need to know the HOA fee as well and what comes with that HOA fee. Also, in the beginning stages, you're going to want to know what documents that there are that you need to collect. I've got a checklist of documents in the packet that's passed out that essentially goes over the generic checklist of documents. It's going to be 2 years tax returns, 2 years W-2s or 1099s, 30 days of pay stubs, and 2 months, all pages of the bank statements. That's a generic checklist of stuff that you need to qualify for. And that checklist of documents will be needed no matter what lender you use. Obviously, we'd like for you to use us at VanDyk Mortgage because we believe that we're the best in the industry. But if by some chance you use somebody else, they're going to need the same documents anyway, so you might as well just gather them up together. We will also, when we do a pre-approval for you, we will pull your credit scores. We pull from all 3 bureaus, and then we'll use the middle score. Oftentimes people come to me and say, hey, I know what my credit score is. It's 700. Well, that's because they're using the freecreditreport.coms or the Credit Karmas. They actually use a different algorithm than what the mortgage industry uses. So typically speaking, when I pull their credit, their numbers are actually going to be a little less than what they've been seeing on their Credit Karma. So that's something to keep in mind as well. Credit scores are important. as far as conventional financing is concerned, your interest rate is going to be directly correlated with your credit score. The higher your credit score, the lower your interest rate is going to be. FHA doesn't take that into account as much. We just need you to have, be over a 600 credit score when we pull their credit scores. So most or all realtors are going to want to at least you have a pre-approval letter before you go out and show you properties. That at least lets the realtor know that you've talked to a loan professional, you've told them your income, you've told them the assets, and you've had your credit pulled. That's a pre-approval letter. Here at VanDyk Mortgage, the thing that separates us the most from other lenders is that we will actually take the documents that you give us and we'll actually underwrite your file before you actually find a home. So we call that our to be determined program. So the underwriter will underwrite the income, the assets, and everything else that comes. All that you need is to find a property. So then when you're submitting your loan to the listing agent, oftentimes in a market like we're in today, that's a very competitive situation. If you found a home that you love, most likely somebody else has also loves it as well. So to go in, these to be determined commitment letters are actually helping my FHA buyers, first-time home buyers, win bidding wars over cash buyers that are out there that are trying to buy the property, offer you for an investment property, and rent it out. So that's a huge advantage for the finance buyers is the to be determined program. It takes about a week to 10 days to get that commitment letter. So this is something that you're going to want to plan for in advance, whereas a pre-approval letter, I can oftentimes do that in about 20 minutes. Okay, so again, my opinion, if you're here and if you're watching this video, everybody is a home buyer. Everybody is. Some people are ready to buy right now, but oftentimes people are not ready to buy right now, whether it be for their credit score, they don't have enough down payment money, or they're not making enough money. We will work with you to figure out a roadmap, whoever you are, and however long it takes, we will figure out a roadmap to get you to be the point where you can be a home buyer and start building the wealth through home ownership. So if you stick around afterwards, if you want to have any questions for pre-approvals or want to get pre-approved, we'll be around. So thank you.
Thank you for coming out to our home buyers seminar. We are so happy to see you here tonight. And the whole reason for this particular seminar is simply to educate. I mean, obviously we do make our living as realtors by selling homes, right? But the main thing here is to give you the information that you need so that you can go out and make an informed decision on your home purchase. Or like what Brad was saying from VanDyk Mortgage, get you on a roadmap towards home ownership down the road. And one of the things that we wanted to say as realtors, I am here representing Keller Williams Elite Realty and the Treasure My Home team. What we would like to convey in this is that we take a consultation approach to helping you find that right house. So one of the very first things that we want to do with you is to have you into our office and sit down with you at the table and go through a time when we can exchange information and figure out exactly what it is that you're looking for in your home. And there's so many different factors that we have to calculate in. So it's very important that we have that conversation before we get in the car and start looking at houses that maybe you have no interest in whatsoever. Does that make sense to everybody? Yes, of course. So what we have done in your package that was handed out, and anyone that is watching the video, we are more than happy to mail you this package or email you the contents if that is your preference. Inside there will be a questionnaire. These we do email to our buyers around the area just to get an idea. If they're not here in town, we'll email this to them and they'll fill it in. It's a fillable form online so that they can fill it in and then send it back to us. In addition to that, we also have a buyer consultation. And this is part when we're actually sitting down with you in person and going through with you, what are your biggest wishes, desires in a house? What are those things that you absolutely have to have? And then what are those things that you'd like to have, but they're not exactly deal breakers for you? It's important for us to know that. So consultation is what it's all about for us so that we make sure that we're doing the right thing by you. We work with a lot of excellent professionals in this field. So please know that when you come to us to purchase your home, you're going to get great service from beginning to end. We're going to make sure that you are with a lender that knows how to find just the right loan product for you and your situation. We're going to make sure that we give you some ideas on the home inspection process, and we have a home inspector here tonight to talk about that, and he will be speaking next. And then, of course, we want to make sure that your transaction gets to the closing table so that you can get those keys. That's what it's all about, homeownership, getting those keys. So with that being said, I'd like to pass the baton here now over to Adam Dalton of Amerispec Home Inspectors, and he's going to tell you all about the home inspection process and what you can do with that.
Good evening. My name is Adam Dalton, and I'm a home inspector at Amerispec Home Inspection Services. There's 3 things that I want you to think about when you're buying your home, and 3 things that I want to educate you on. The first thing that I want to go through is what I went through when I was buying my home. The second thing is I want you to understand what a home inspection is and what it's not, okay? And then finally, I want to go through all the different inspection types that are out there, and so that you can understand what you need depending upon the type of property that you're looking to purchase. So first of all, like I said, my name's Adam Dalton. I'm a machine. Like Brad was talking about earlier, algorithms. When I approached the purchase of my house, I came up with my own algorithm. There was lots of things to look at when buying a home, and I'm sure the form that Alice went through is fantastic. I didn't really care about granite. I didn't really care about a lot of things. I was looking at the things that mattered to me as a home inspector. So the first thing was, is the roof shaped like a gable? Is it shaped like a hip roof? Okay? So if you look at the little house that we've got right here, you can see this roof is actually a gable roof. All right? If wind approaches it from my direction, it's going to act like a sail. If it was shaped more like a pyramid, the wind in a tropical storm or any other kind of inclement weather would deflect water away from the house better, and it would also withstand high pressure winds. The reason that that's important to me is because I know the insurance rates are generally about 40% lower if you have a hip-shaped roof as opposed to a roof shaped like that one right there. Okay? The second thing that I looked at when I was buying houses was, is it masonry or concrete block construction, or is it wood frame construction? We live in an area of the country where there's a lot of termites. Okay? So if you look to buy a wood frame home, there's a much higher likelihood that you're going to run into termite problems, okay? We have several different types down here, but the fact of the matter is I didn't want to have to worry about that. I wanted to focus on a concrete block construction house that was a little bit more solid and didn't have to worry about the termites. So when you go out and you look at properties, if you want to be able to determine very quickly whether it's concrete block construction or wood frame, it's very simple, all right? When you look at the windows on the exterior of the house, if it lines up with the exterior, more often than not, it's a wood frame house. If it's set back about 4 inches, the window set back from the exterior of the house, that's a concrete block construction house. So in my quest to buy my house, I was searching for a hip-shaped roof, and I was also searching for one that had concrete block construction. Now, when you do go out and search, oftentimes you'll find houses that are the second floor, the windows are flush. Downstairs, the windows are set back a couple inches. That's the case in my house. So I actually have wood frame upstairs, and I've got concrete block downstairs. The next thing that I wanted to think about was the age of the property. Okay, there are a lot of things that have changed from an environmental standpoint over the years. Lead paint. There are chemicals that have been put in houses that are a little bit older, that are no longer used. The wiring, knob and tube wiring, is an old wiring system that's a potential fire hazard. So I really wanted to look at houses that were newer. Now in this area, it's not as big of a deal because most of the houses are built probably in the last 15, 20 years. But when you're thinking about buying your house, I would also suggest you look at the age of the house. Okay. What is an inspection and what isn't an inspection? I want you, when you go in and you're buying your house, for you to understand exactly what it is. The inspection, we're like generalists. We're like your primary care physician. We go in, we look at the house. It's a snapshot in time. It's a visual inspection, and we're operating all the components of the house under normal operating conditions. Okay? We are not taking things apart and dissecting things. We would be there for days. We're testing the air conditioning system, and it doesn't take a heck of a long time to test an air conditioning system. It's usually about 15, 20 minutes to test it. If we see something wrong, we write it up because we've got several hundred items which we're looking at, and we can't focus just on the one. We call the experts. A home inspection is not a warranty. Okay, so if something breaks after the fact, it's not a warranty. And one question that we often get is, do we do appraisals? Appraisals is another step in the process, which you may have to go through. And then the third and final thing that I wanted you to understand is just the different type of inspections that are out there. People call us primarily for a home inspection, which we do. The home inspection looks at the electrical system, plumbing system, interior, exterior, all major components of the system, of the property. There are two other, general areas of home inspections. The second one is environmental testing. So you often have people test for air quality, for mold. That's very prevalent down in this area. And then the second one that we see an awful lot of is radon testing. There's also a fair amount of radon in this area. And then third and finally are the documents that you need for either banking or for your insurance people. So I'll go through those real quickly, and if you have questions afterwards, I'll be here to answer any questions. So the first one is a wind mitigation form. Okay, we talked about the shape of the roof. The wind mitigation form documents how well the house will withstand tropical force winds. Several years ago, the insurance community drastically raised their rates and put the onus on homeowners to document how well their house would withstand tropical force winds. By doing a uniform wind mitigation report, we see reductions in the range from 30 to 70% on your premiums. So if you're buying a single family home, I would highly encourage you to get one of those done. The second thing is something called a 4-point inspection. A 4-point inspection is one that focuses on the 4 areas of the home where the insurance companies get the most claims. Number 1, plumbing. Number 2, roof. Number 3, air conditioning. Number 4 is electric. We cover many of those things in the inspection report. The problem is we don't want the insurance company to see the full inspection report. They want it put into a different document because if they see some of the items that we're telling you about in your home inspection report, that you may find it difficult to actually get insurance. Okay, so the 4-point inspection is used as an underwriting tool. The wind mitigation is for a reduction. All right, on the 4-point, I would say rule of thumb is if the house is 25 years or older, the insurance company is going to request a 4-point inspection. Okay. Termite inspections are also something that many of the banks require. They're looking for a form, a certificate, which shows the house is free and clear of any visible signs of wood-destroying organisms. We offer that. So there's a lot of things to consider when you're doing a home inspection. You call somebody up for a home inspection, but you need to understand the type of property that you've got. If you've got a condo that you're looking to purchase, you probably don't need a termite inspection because the building, the HOA is going to have one anyway. And the uniform wind mitigation, again, the building should be taking care of that for you. But if you're building a single family home that's older, you're probably going to need some or all of those documents. Hopefully that provides a little bit of insight for you. And like I said, I'll be staying around after. And if you have any questions, I'll be here to answer them. Adam Dalton with Amerispec. Thank you.
Hi, I'm Andy Mortensen with Bonita Title. Bonita Title is a locally owned and operated company. I'm the president and owner of Bonita Title. We've been in this market for the past 12 years, operating primarily in Lee and Collier County, although we can handle closings anywhere in the state. We're licensed throughout the state of Florida. Part of what Bonita Title does, we kind of hold your hand, the buyer's hand, throughout the process. Once that contract is signed, that's where we kind of come in. And we like to see ourselves, just like Brad and Alice have said, we like to kind of walk with people, inform them throughout the process, give them guidance throughout the process. That's our role for you as the buyer. We want to make it as seamless and as easy as possible. We do a lot of things behind the scenes that you'll never see as a buyer. We're in constant communication with the lenders, the realtors, inspectors, all the people that are involved in the transaction. That's we're kind of behind the scenes quarterbacking a lot of that activity. So part of so you've signed a contract. You're buying a house. So that's where we come in. Our role, and this is in your handout. I gave you a little timeline, and it's called Prepare to Close. It's kind of some of the essential things that we're doing throughout the process. So you get a contract signed. Usually your realtor will forward that contract to us or drop it off at our office. And at that point, we'll collect typically a buyer deposit. Usually the contract calls for a deposit to be made. We'll collect that from you. You can do that via check or cashier's check or typically a wire. So that's the first step in the process. From there, we'll take the contract. We'll start our title search. We'll order what's called a title commitment. We work with an underwriter. Our underwriter is Old Republic. They do the actual search of the public records of that property, of that owner, to determine if there are any issues with that property that buyers need to know about, the agents need to know about, anything that would affect the transferability of that property. So we're working behind the scenes on that title, on those title aspects. So we do that title search. We'll contact you, the buyer. We'll contact the sellers. We'll contact the agents. We'll contact lenders. We'll work with them to get that portion of the process started as well. And then we'll get that title commitment in. We'll review the title commitment that comes in from our underwriter. There are many things that'll be listed on that commitment, the things that we need to take care of. They're called requirements. We'll make sure that we're getting any payoffs. We're making sure the taxes are paid, making sure that the association has approved you as the buyer. We'll kind of walk you through that too. If you haven't already done that, we'll help you to get in touch with the management company or the association to get your application submitted so you can get approved. We'll work with them to figure out what the fees are, what the dues are. If you have to make any additional capital contributions to the community that you're purchasing in. So those are, again, things that we're working on. All of this is behind the scenes, but we're informing you throughout the process. We're going to give you and your agent a copy of the title commitment, which is the title search, so you can take a look at it as well. So we're reviewing any issues that come up. At that point, we're going to, like I said, we're going to order payoffs from the seller. We're going to make sure that there are no liens on your property. We want to make sure that we're paying off any mortgages existing. We're also gathering information from the seller and the buyer. We want to find out from you, are you going to be here for closing? Are you going to be local, or are you going to be out of the area? Are you going to be traveling? The nature of this area, there are many people that don't live here full time. So we're constantly sending documents out, throughout the country, sometimes overseas even, to get documents signed. And once we're ready to close, we're going to work with the lender, VanDyk. We're going to work with Brad and his team. We're going to get those mortgage documents. We're going to put the settlement statement together, so you know exactly what you need to bring to closing. We're going to have the real estate agents as well review that closing statement so that they can make sure that anything they're aware of, that's also been accounted for. It's just kind of another set of eyes for someone to look at that. And at that point, it's a great point to ask any questions like, what are these fees? If you haven't already been had that answered by either the lender or the real estate agent, you're going to want to come back to us and say, hey, we don't understand. Why are you charging this? What is this proration? Explain to me why we're giving the seller a prorated portion of the association dues, or why are they giving us credit for taxes? These are things that all need to be accounted for on the closing statement. So we're going to walk through that with you and explain those things to you. At that point, we're also, like I said, we're going to give you the amount that you need to come to closing with. Used to be that you could come to closing and just write a check. And I still have people actually say, can I just bring a check? It's no longer an acceptable way to bring funds for closing. Even cashier's checks, typically we don't accept unless you get them like a week ahead of time. So now wire transfer is the only way to close. The funds that we need for the day of closing have to be good funds on the day of closing. So the wire transfer is the way to go for that. We'll give you plenty of time to get that arranged with your bank to make sure that they can get that out and get it to us before closing. And then it's closing time. We're going to set up an appointment with you to meet in our office if that works best. If you can't get to the office, we're going to make arrangements to get to you. If you have to work or you're somewhere else, you just can't make it to the office, we're going to bring those documents to you so that we can get them signed, or we'll arrange for a mobile notary to come meet you. So we'll go over those documents. We'll tell you exactly what's in those documents, what your note is, what your mortgage is, the terms of all those documents. There's, several other disclosures that you'll have to sign. It usually takes 45 minutes to an hour to go through a closing package with a buyer or borrower. So just kind of set some time aside on the day of closing so that you can. It's a big deal. It's an important day, obviously, so you want to make sure that everything goes well. So set aside some time that day for that event. It's a big event. At that point, once we get all the documents signed, the seller's already signed their documents. The lender's going to send us their wire. We'll have received your wire, and then we're going to get approval from the lender to disperse, and we're going to hand over the keys, which is kind of the culmination of that day. That process is giving the keys. If we don't give them to you, your realtor will give them to you. But that's kind of the icing on top of the cake. And then there are some things behind the scenes afterwards that we'll do. We're going to disperse funds to the seller, to the real estate agents. But after closing, we're going to get all the documents recorded from closing. And then we'll submit those to the county clerk. And then in about 2 to 3 weeks, we'll send out copies of those recorded documents along with your title policy. Your title policy is kind of a big deal. It makes sure that you are insured as an owner of the property, that if there are any claims that come up, that those claims are handled by your policy, that they're covered by your policy if there were any claims that came up. We've never had a claim, thank you God. We hope never to, but it's inevitable. At some point, everybody will have a claim of some sort. But we've never had that. We're blessed by that. So we just, again, our role in this transaction is kind of walk you through it. We do a lot of things behind the scenes that nobody really knows about or cares about, I guess. They're just kind of things that nobody really would have a lot of interest in. Title insurance is kind of actually boring. It's not like being a realtor and you get to show people these exciting houses and stuff like that. But we like to be informative. We like to walk you through the process. That's really what kind of drives us in this whole transaction. So thanks so much. We appreciate it.
Thank you so much for joining us today to learn about the home buying process. If you're interested in getting started, we can't wait to meet with you. We have a home buyer questionnaire, a survey that you can fill out and help us get the right homes to look at so we don't waste any time, and we're ready when you are. Have a great day.